Yeah, YouTubers Tasman here bringing you another episode of Foundry. Yeah, not Foundry. Sorry. Fantasy Grounds from the ground up. Why do they both have to start with F? That throws me off every time. So in our last episode, we completed the rest of the options. As I said, I didn't have all the information of every little thing that the options did. The wiki is definitely outdated, and I don't know if there's a new one somewhere, but it is the official's Fantasy Ground wiki that I was looking at. So I think it's just outdated, unfortunately. So that kind of completes the tools. There were some things, the combat tracker, the party tracker, and the calendar that we really didn't go into because they're dependent on other things. So we will revisit them at a later date. So we're going to go ahead and minimize tools since we're done with it and expand the library. So if you've used Fantasy Grounds before, there used to be a little token type thing right here that was called assets. This is all your personal assets. If we click on that, we can see these are the default assets it comes with. There's stuff for the rule sets. Like here's D&D 5e. Here's the decals for D&D 5e. You know, all kinds of fun stuff in here. Character pogs for characters, obviously. And so we have, and we can sort them. We can say I only want to see things that are tokens. So we can see here all our different tokens. Portraits, if we want to have, you know, our little avatar portraits. Images for just images. I thought they used to have one called maps, but it doesn't look like it. Stormlords, is that Wrath? That must be fairly big. Yes, it is, because it's still opening. So as you can see, you can pull those as the Stormlord's Wrath. Now, a newer feature, at least since the last time I've done this, how many pages? 2, is you can actually click on the magnifying glass and pull up a preview image of it. And then you can create an image record, which will actually put it in the thing, or set it as a background decal. So we could actually set this as our background decal if we wanted. So if we have a custom image that we want to have right there, we can actually do that, which is kind of nice. It used to be only decals, or you'd have to know how to make a module to get that. Or of course we have the all button, so we can see everything. We do have access to the store. This will open up a web page to Smiteworks store to, you know, purchase stuff, and we can also access direct folders and grab stuff there. You'll notice this is going to the My Documents area of the Fantasy Grounds because this is all your custom stuff. Since I have this open, maybe we should talk about this real quick. So any campaigns you create will be in this campaigns directory. Extensions is where you're going to put all extensions that you get. You can put images here. Modules will be modules that you get. I think that there's going to be some extensions. This is where, for example, our simple gray that gives us this nice desktop here that we have. So that's our simple gray one. Modules are going to be all your different rule sets. Might as well left it there. And any other modules that you have, you will end up putting them in here. Portraits obviously are going to be portraits. That does come with fantasy portraits and Smitework portraits. Rule sets will be all rule sets. Usually you don't have to do anything with rule sets. These are just where it's actually keeping the 5e rule set and stuff. Tokens, these are, now by the way, these are actually all the global ones that we're looking at. So this would be global tokens, all your different campaigns. Technically you could access them from all other campaigns too. You just go into the campaign. Utilities, I don't really use. Vault is the stuff that you've actually purchased from Smiteworks. So here you can actually see I have let's see if there's TC for Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, right? Or the Unearthed Arcana. And then I think some of these are those other ones. I think some of these I actually got from Steam and stuff like that. The automatically will always be there. You cannot really get into these, look at these, unlike modules and extensions. You can kind of do things with those. But the one we're going to talk about right now is the campaigns, because as we have tokens, portraits, and stuff like that, we also have those in our campaigns that, our images and stuff for our campaigns. If we have campaign specific tokens that will only be used there, then we can put them there. A lot of times tokens, portraits, you'll just want outside, but maps and stuff you'll actually put in your images. If it's very specific. If it's a generic one, then definitely keep it out here, where it's easier to use with the other ones. So that's kind of the file structure, and that kind of covers the assets. Above assets here is modules. So this is all the modules that you have running in your instance of Fantasy Grounds. And as you can see, we have none, which is why if we go under player and look at character, that's a bad example. Notes wouldn't be. So notes, sometimes you might have that. If you have campaign stuff, this would be encounters. We don't have anything there. If we go under character, this is creating a character. If we wanted to go look at races, there's absolutely no races. We have no feats. We have no class or classes. No backgrounds, nothing. No spells. And that is because we do not have the modules that actually have those in them. So if we go under activation, once again, we have store. We can export modules that we have, and we have a builder for building modules, or a module specifically. So if we go under activation, this is going to pop up a new window showing us all our modules. If I make that, it's not going to work. So here we have our SRD stuff. These are the free things that Smiteworks, or that Blizzard just gives you, basically. These are the published by Smiteworks because they convert them or whatever. But this is going to be your bestiary. This is going to be just your data, magic items. Here's our calendar that we were talking about. So what we can do is we can see here nothing is loaded. If we go to page 2, nothing is loaded there either. These are the modules that I was talking about that I purchased. Oh, Mythic Odyssey of Theros. That was the MOS. So when you get this, it'll basically have these three here. This one, the basic rules players, and I think it'll have some from here. It will have the fumble and crit hit tables, and then the FG battle maps. So these are all the default ones you get with the 5e rule set when you get it. To play D&D, basically, you don't need all these things, but some of them are going to make it nicer. So anyway, if you see this little red X, this means players are not able to access that. If you see the little green check, that means players are able to access that. Obviously, we do not want the players accessing the bestiary, because then they can see all the stat blocks of all the mobs they're fighting and definitely do some metagaming there. So if we want players to access it, we can simply click on this and it'll turn from a check to a cross, I guess an X, or we can even drag from here and do it that way. I don't know why you do it that way necessarily, because that's slower. I think just click on the little thing. This little book here is telling you that it is not loaded. When we load something, it'll turn into an open book, just like that. And so if we load all this SRD stuff, and then maybe the basic rules, maybe we'll load the calendar so we can actually see that as well. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and even do the crit hit, since that comes with Smiteworks. And I think the last one would be this one. So there we go. There is all our different things. Now, once we've done that and we hit close here, now we'll see we actually have items in our modules that are loaded. If we click on those, we can actually get information about them if there is that information available. So for example, with the bestiary, here we can see there's the NPCs and here's the reference manual. So if we go in the reference manual, generally this is the entire book, just in Fantasy Grounds format or whatever. So if we come in here, we can see here's the Open Gaming License, here's the monsters. We can look at, you know, monster size information, and then here is the monsters A to Z. And it says here, list all monsters, creatures, non-player characters. So if we do this, now we can actually see here is our alphabetic index, here's our challenge rating index. So it's sorted in a couple different ways for you, and then our class index. So if we click alphabetic and we open that, now we can see we have A here, and we scroll down, we get B and C and so forth. If we know what we're looking for, a zombie maybe, we could type zom, and we can look at, there's an ogre zombie and there's a zombie. We click on zombie here and we get his stat block. We have his armor class, his hit points. This is what I was telling you. I think that when you click roll their health or random health, it actually rolls this. At least I'd hope so. Here's all their different attributes. This means check, this means save. So each of these have a check and a save. Here's saving throws, wisdom's +0, damage immunity, all the information you need on that character. Then you also have these tabs on the side. So other usually is going to be more descriptive stuff, any additional notes that you might need. What is that little guy? I don't recognize him. Is that his token? This little window right here, we'll switch it, you'll see, to make it so now I can talk zombie and say UGGGG or something like that, and brains. And of course he's going to say that in Draconic, but you'll notice when I do that, it does say that the zombie in Draconic is speaking, saying ugh brains. So I think that's the token. I don't remember that being, was it here too? I thought it used to have a larger token. Maybe that's just player characters. So if you want to have your zombies identified so people know what they are, then you can click the ID here, or not ID'd. If we want to go and set values, right now it's read only because this is in a compendium. But if we copy this and make another one, we can actually have that, which we're going to talk about. So that is kind of a nutshell accessing references. So if we close this, actually I guess we close that too. So we have our bestiary we just talked about. We have our data. This is where all your classes. Now if we go into classes, we have classes. Now you'll actually see we have two of them. And the reason for this is because we have both the SRD stuff and we actually have the basic rules also loaded. So we're going to see some of these will be duplicates, like Rogue down here. We have the basic rules one, and we have the SRD. The basic rules has even less classes than the SRD. Like we have wizards, we don't have warlocks, we don't have sorcerers, we have rogues, we don't have rangers, paladins, monks, or fighters. So even though it's kind of a pain because you see a couple duplicates, I still like to have the basic rules loaded because it also has all the rule sets and information for the rules. So I usually leave that loaded anyway. If you really didn't want, you could actually probably unload, you could unload the player rules. If we go look at that real quick, you can just see it's just your basic info. You know, your reference manual for players. The nice thing about this is it's going to have the information that players might need for their characters and stuff. Where if we undo this, I think the SRD data. So we could, let's go ahead and just undo that one. I think we want to keep the DM one, but if we unload players, then we won't have all the duplicates. It's just the singles. Because I don't think any of that stuff matters with the DM. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So there you go. There's our modules. You also have some battle maps that they give you. So you can see here are all these battle maps they give you, gridded, no grid, all that fun stuff. So if we want a quick battle map of a cave, we just click on that, and now we can see what this battle map looks like. Some of them might have a DM version. Usually they'll either have a DM or a player at the end. Usually I think it's just a GM at the end of it or at the beginning of it, and then the other is a player. So let's go ahead and close that out. That is our, I think we covered everything there. So that is our libraries. Next we have player options. So these are options that a player would have. Obviously, if I'm loading up as a player, I'm not going to see the campaign one, because that's private information for our campaign. I will see the character one, but I won't see that one. So under players, we have characters and we have notes. So players can keep their own notes. Let's just talk about that one real quick, because that might be all we... Characters can be pretty big. There's a lot to do with it because we go into the character sheets. So let's talk about notes, and then maybe we'll call it good for this episode. So notes, your player can create notes. GM here can create notes, and has some really basic settings here. Let's move it up here. So when I create a note, it's just automatically creates one called new note. We'll call this GM notes, right? If I choose to make it public, this means everyone will be able to see these notes. Other words, it's private, right? And then I can just come in here and say, here are my secret notes. What the heck? Here are my... I don't even know what I wrote there. I think I hit too many keys. So there's our secret notes. Then we can lock it to protect it. And now anytime we need to access it, we just simply go there. One downside of setting the GUI scale or the UI scale to 80% is these are a little smaller. The one thing I do wish that you could do is actually have a font size. Like if we came in here and there was like a little font size thing, oh, that would be so awesome. So players can create their own notes. Once again, there's the little buckler, shield, or whatever you're using. Mine's always the eye because I use the gray, the gray theme. You can always do it there. And now if I close out notes here, click on note, it just brings up that one little note. Lock that note. There we go. So that's kind of notes. We're at 18 minutes. I think because characters is going to have quite a bit more to them, because we have the character wizard, we have importing characters, adding characters, and all that fun stuff. I think it might almost be 1 or 2 episodes all on its own. So we're going to call it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. And don't forget to tell other people about my channel. Have them check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub. We grow the channel. That is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.